This is Sean with Voices Live On. We are here in the Meridian restaurant for Saving Stories at themeridian.com, and we're here with a local legend. Would you say you're a local legend, Claudia?
Maybe? I don't know about that, but
well, your store has been around for a very, very, very long time, and it's
true.
Charles Mayer and Company, and it is at 5629 in North Illinois.
Correct.
So let's get a little bit of the overview of the store itself. Mm-hmm. Who are some of the types of clients that come in, if you could just kind of explain that?
Well, we have wonderful clients, young and old, some from old Indianapolis families, some who are new to the city, some who may have come here for a particular job in tech or in pharmaceutical or real estate. We have lots of different customers who are just from a variety of different backgrounds.
When you said that there's a lot of business for brides and grooms and anniversaries and birthdays and people for retirement.
That is one reason. As our customers have learned about us, they might come to us for suggestions for their wedding gift registry or wedding registry, or a special anniversary gift, or a corporate gift, a retirement gift, a hostess gift. It could be very simple, or maybe just shopping for themselves. So it takes all different forms, and oftentimes we'll work with organizations that need a special gift for a large quantity of people, maybe a special holiday party, or it could be anything, Indianapolis 500 to Eli Lilly to lots of different organizations.
So it's been around for a long time, and originally it was downtown, and it came to this location in 90. Is that approximately right?
No, we started working on it in 1990 when I left Ellis Ayres.
Okay.
And it was actually open. Mayor Goldsmith helped us cut the ribbon in 92, December 10th of 92. We were supposed to be open around Thanksgiving, but got open still with a plywood front door and Cartier for the home inside. But we opened on December 10th, 1992.
And the original building downtown, which was your husband Tim's great-great-grandfather.
Correct.
And that was the original.
Yes, he opened that store in 1840.
1840.
And that was Charlie Meyer Sr., and then it was Charles Meyer Jr., and then Charlie Meyer III, 3 generations. And they closed the business in 1953, and then the building was raised in 1959. There were no male heirs. The business was actually never sold. There were no male heirs to carry it on at the time, which I think is kind of fun.
Something I find very interesting is that current day compared to previous day, working on close to 80 to 100 years ago or whatever it was, that there's a lot of the same international brands that you still represent.
That's right.
Speak to that for a second.
Well, we started out knowing that the store would be similar to the original Charlie Meyer because it would be focused on the home. And we also wanted to have jewelry, as it was known for, but we really mainly were thinking about tabletop and some decorative accessories, mainly overall European style. So we started that way, and you learn from your customers, and we found out that one of the big needs was tabletop for entertaining, whether it be for brides when they're registering for their fine china and casual china, flatware, crystal, glassware, and so on. So that evolved and became an important part of our business and got larger and larger as the years went by.
And you said downtown that the building was a four-story building, basically across from Ellis Ayres, Meridian, and Washington.
It was adjacent to Ellis Ayres, and at one point it was 2 buildings because there was wholesale and retail, but it evolved from a rather small building to a very large building, and when it closed in 1953, I think it was a very large 4-story building with an old cage elevator, creaky wood floors. I loved hearing the stories from those who grew up here. We got to experience it. Fewer and fewer are around now, but some of the families know quite a bit about it sometimes Charlie Meyer wrote their name on china and the felts that went over your silver flatware.
Sure.
They put their name on lots of products.
So the diversity of items within the store, you mentioned groceries, jewelry, home goods, furnishings, toys on the top floor.
Well, I think it's fun to see the children's area on the 4th floor because it's not Toys R Us toys. It's really more of the old wind-up toys that you might find at the Children's Museum today on display. They were really beautiful. It was a gorgeous children's area. So I didn't experience it, but it was very, around the time probably, I don't know when FAO Schwartz started, but similar mentality. And then as you come down the floor, there was home furnishings, and then there was flatware, silver. So if you were a bride, you might pick out your crystal silver china in and around that space. And then the first floor was more gifts and fine jewelry, as well as it might be cashmere sweaters or clocks.
Okay.
And at one point, it might have been gunpowder. I mean, these are a lot of years that we went from when it really started as a small grocer to that changed very quickly, and it became quite the upscale gift store with buying trips that went to Europe for 6 weeks at a time, sometimes by stagecoach originally.
Wow. So something I also find very interesting is that it has grown substantially online, nationwide, and maybe even globally. And who did you say just recently from the Hamptons happened to buy some? What was it? The Baccarat cricket. What did they get?
Beyonce and Jay-Z bought some. That was probably a private information there, but I guess they don't care and won't be listening to this. But yes, I mean you get orders from all over, and you just never know. You have to kind of check them out because you want to be sure everything's the real deal and not fraudulent.
So, and there's also a new generation of influx. You had the older clientele, and now you said a lot of their kids and
Yes.
their families are coming
yes.
in.
And when you think about a wedding and all of the people that come to each individual wedding, and then they often will buy gifts online from us, and hopefully they'll have a good experience. So it just evolves as more and more people experience the store for one reason or another, or they, someone in the family has moved here, has heard of it, or they find us online. And we do have great brands like Baccarat and William Yoward and Heron and Jaliska, and it goes on from there.
So the store itself, it's a pretty good sized store, and it's essentially the second store in as the strip starts. Is that correct? It's right next to.
That's correct. Originally, it was about 7,000 square feet, and I think when the art gallery came in, and I really just thought it would be nicer to have a little bit less space, and the art gallery actually asked if they could have some of our upstairs space. So we blocked off a little bit of that to make it a little smaller. So there's a very nice gallery there. We used to do art shows on the lower level, but as the years passed, we decided that we would allow the art gallery to take on some of that space.
The lower level?
They have the lower level on their side, as well as a little bit of the upper level, where they have wonderful art shows.
What style of art do they have?
And oftentimes, old Indiana artists are, a part of who they feature, and they have they tie in with some of the big art shows here in Indianapolis, and people that follow those artists. So they're really well known, and they're well thought of when it comes to an art appraisal or framing and that kind of thing.
So with your store, even as you walk in the door, it's almost a corridor of. What's the initial things that are right as people walk in, right as they come in?
Well, it really changes in that initial aisle as you go through it. It might be something that's hot, like mahjong and pickleball, and something just fun that catches your attention, or it might be seasonal. It could be pots. We have botanical collection pots exclusively from the Kew Gardens in the UK right now, and they come in all shapes and sizes with the botanical garden seal on them. So those are often in the front, and that can be the base for another gift. You might put wonderful French towels inside of them, or soap, or who knows what. A fabulous candle, maybe a candle from Trudon, Cire Trudon, which is a French line, and they have the candles in the cathedrals in France. There's just every line that we carry has a story behind it, and there's a lot that goes into it, and the artisans who create it and hand down that artistry to the next generation. So that sort of works. It really works as a part of who we feature.
So if somebody walked in and thought of your store as a sectional map, as far as like to the left, next section back, just kind of take them through that visual as you come in.
As you come in, on the left would be our, I would say, fine china, like William Yoward and many of our Limoges lines, some of which go back to the original Charlie Meyer, where we used to have our own name on our own patterns, and some from Limoges, France. But there's Heron and Reynaud and Bernadotte and Meissen, for example, from Germany, which is where the original Charlie Meyer actually the Charlie Meyer's mother was from and father were from Germany, and he grew up there till he was a teenager and came to America. So there's a lot there in that room, from Lalique crystal to a Moser crystal from Hungary, and William Yoward, who's come to our store 2 or 3 times for large events. He's actually a fabulous designer who took some of the original Georgian English patterns and that were antique and they took pear wood and made a copy of the piece and then used the old copper engraving tools to create those different patterns. So then you'd go into a little room that's Baccarat and Christophe flatware from France.
Okay.
And then you'd go into another room that might be jewelry. It might be 18 karat as well as some vermeil. There may be some fragrance there, like wonderful candle lines that we carry, baobab, etc. And then the next area you'd come into would be more of a kitchen space that would be what I call kitchen, because originally we had many, many cooking classes there. But it became so much work that we decided it was better off to use the spaces in different ways to have benefits that were helpful to different causes in the city. So then you would come around and there would be different lines like match pewter from Italy, great pieces that looked like the originals came out of a ship that had sunk in the Mediterranean. And then the other areas there's a whole room that's more of a Jaliska room, and in the back there's more of a children's area that is really focused on, because oftentimes after they get married, children come along. So
Right.
It's a great area for gifts, and many of our customers have grandchildren. So, because as I said, we have all ages, but there's a big, it goes from, probably in their 20s, and sometimes they've come in since they were little children with their mother, but then it goes all the way up into the 70s and 80s and beyond.
So if a couple,
Yes.
well, let's do 2 sides to this. So
Okay.
you've got a couple getting engaged, or they just got engaged, and they want to put their registry together.
Right.
Then you've got a couple that's having a 50-year anniversary, and let's say for the first couple, what's kind of the process that you walk them through and try to get them to think about and analyze when they're putting together their registry?
Well, I want them to think about how they would like to live down the road, and they often don't know that, but I want them to pick out pieces that they love, and I want them to be able to look at those same choices 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now and still love them. So they should be functional. They could be, if they happen to be very modern, they could be very modern, or if they happen to be more transitional, or today it's very, you dress it up and you dress it down and you make it relevant to your style. So it could be, burlap and crystal. I mean, there's a real mix, and it's fun getting in their heads and kind of, as a designer, kind of looking at what, maybe the one part of the gentleman doesn't like bugs and butterflies, and maybe she wants everything blue, and maybe, you just kind of figure all that out and introduce them to the different brands. Many they may know from some of the national advertising, or they know from Charles Meyer. And you mix it up and make it something that fits their lifestyle. You don't want them to have huge pieces if they're going to live in a tiny place where there's no space to store anything.
Right.
So you want it to be practical in a sense, but really fit their dream of the way they would like it to be.
Do you think things have, obviously things evolve in society and what people acquire for their home and what they're used to, and like for
Right.
years you would pass down the china sets.
Right.
Like that was a normal thing. How has that changed over the years?
Well, and I think that's wonderful. And vintage china, I mean, I often even have some vintage china in the store that I purchase because I think it's so beautiful to have as a set to sell. But I really think it's oftentimes when it is inherited, which happens quite often, I encourage the bride and groom or whomever is registering to bring that into me, and let's talk about it and see how they can work it into a new, dress it up or dress it down and make it theirs.
Other accents
kind of give
that
it
they
there,
can
because
add
then
to the
often
table?
also the sizing today has changed. Where it used to be luncheon sizes of flatware, today it's dinner sizes. Proportion is very, very important. And when I opened the store, rarely did anyone choose a charger or service plate, shall we say. Today, almost every bride and or groom, would like to have a charger or service plate, because it can be used as a buffet plate. It can be used to create color on the table initially when you put the dinner out and set the table. I mean, there are just a lot of different ways, and then there's linen. which different ways that you can incorporate linen, whether it be monogrammed and personalized. We really work with personalizing a lot, whether it be like a board for cheese, or whether it be silver or a box or linen, baby clothes. I mean, we really try to personalize it to make it special.
So I'd like to talk about your family just for a second. So your husband obviously is the great grandson
Yes,
of Charles Mayer. So
that's true.
makes your sons the great. How many greats are we doing?
Yeah, 3 or 4 in there.
So one is RJ,
yes.
and the other is William.
William, yes, Will. Mm-hmm.
And so, did they ever want to be involved in the family business?
Well, RJ has been very helpful. He works at Google. He and his wife do in AI, and he's actually been very helpful on the computer side, on the tech side of the business, and early on. He's too busy for me now, however, rightly so. But when I have an important question or need help with something, he will stop and take care of me. My other son, Will, has actually gone into the business, and he actually is my operations director from LA remotely. And then he also had a line of yoga wear. And during COVID, that absolutely went sky high. And then now he's also involved in a line called One Golden Thread, OGT, and it's in LA, actually in Venice, and that's doing quite well. So he's involved on the marketing side. He got my love of marketing and sales promotion, which I think I focused on a lot when I was at Ellis Ayres as well. But he's great at all of that and helping me with the business on the operations side.
So how did you meet Timothy, their father?
We met in college. Actually, and I went to Trinity College in Ireland my junior year and came back to Rollins, where I'd been my freshman and sophomore year, for my senior year to graduate. And I met him. And
where did you meet?
We met at a very nice little French bistro, and I said to him, so, where are you from? And I think he said Indianapolis, and I asked him if that was near Idaho. I had no idea because I had grown up in the South Pacific and Europe and
because
Virginia.
Your father was an admiral.
Well, that's true, but he wasn't always an admiral. He started out right through the ranks. I went through all the not always glamorous parts of being a military family, and we traveled, and I went to 14 schools between kindergarten and college, actually. So that was a lot of traveling and a lot of moving, and I ended up back in Washington and went to a boarding school in Washington, D.C., and then my roommate told me about Rollins. I was looking at other schools and said, we need to go to Rollins, so we did, and that's where we met. So
how would you describe his personality in conjunction with being a good teammate as far as
for
marriage?
My husband, Tim Ryan,
yep.
He's never met a stranger. He is, he keeps me laughing. He's an attorney, and he's ornery as hell, but he's just, he's great. He's a great tennis player. He's proud of Charles Mayer, loved the family traditions and the business, and was a little bit concerned as to whether we could pull this off, but I couldn't have done it without him.
Well, you got almost 35 years at this point since you relaunched.
Well, 32. We had a 30th anniversary a couple years ago, and I think we're going on, oh my gosh, it might be 33 pretty soon, but we're at least at 32.
So what would you like to just say to people in general about the store and kind of inviting them into it and the experience that they can expect when they do with the staff that you have as well?
I just believe that our store is one that you will always find it welcoming. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, it would be a huge exception to the rule if you did not. And I don't care who you are or where you come from or, what your background is. I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover. And I mean, we love and are friendly to everybody, and we want to be helpful. So whether it be through our online business and every way that we touch the customer and touch the community. And that's the reason we try to also benefit so many different great causes in the community, as well as a part of what we do. And that's why I really designed the store to be kind of an event location where we have the front door and back door, and we can have cocktail parties and meetings and parties to to celebrate
And
all
you help a
sorts
lot
of
of
different
causes,
causes.
right?
We have a lot of causes that we've
What are
celebrated.
some of the bigger causes you work with in the city?
Oh my gosh, we've worked with the symphony, we've worked with almost all the diseases, we've worked with, and I hate to say it, but I mean cancer and breast cancer and all of that kind of thing. We've done, oh my gosh, Random Acts of Flowers. Right now we're working with Riley Hospital, which we did last year and we'll do again this year. It goes on and on. And you know, each one has, and whether it be during COVID, we worked with Feeding the Hungry. You know, I can go back through the years, and that's just been a constant every single year.
So overall, the fact that you've been able to keep not just a company that started in the 1800s going, but in a whole new way, and now taking it online, and now you have major celebrities that are buying things on the back end. Well,
not every day.
But anyway, is there any future evolutions that you see with the store itself, or you can kind of stay on the path that you're going?
Well, I don't know. My husband would kill me for saying this, but I have been thinking about a second location in North Naples, Florida, but I don't know if that will come to fruition or not. I've been looking at it. And as a feeder store, I would not close the store. I just want the store to get better and better in this community, because this Indianapolis will always be the base. And if I did something somewhere else, it would be much smaller.
Well, Meridian Kessler has a lot of history within the area.
It has a lot of history.
And a lot of people that live in the area have helped the city grow in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you coming in today. And do you think this is a nice spot to be able to save the stories of the community here at the Meridian?
Absolutely. I do. I love the Meridian. We've been coming here since it was a fun restaurant that was featured chicken. And when our kids were very, very small, and they could make as much noise as they wanted. And we all celebrated the fact that it became the Meridian, and a very, I know my husband uses it, we all use it a lot for all sorts of reasons, for celebrations and for really for all sorts of business reasons as well. It's just a great, you can always count on it being, and I love it being a neighbor of Charles Meyer.
Right.
So.
And what's the website?
For Charles Meyer, it's charlesmeyer.com.
Just charlesmeyer.com.
Yes, yes.
Well, Claudia, thank you very much for coming in today.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is fun.
I hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to keep saving the stories of the leaders and people in the community, and also, you know, a few grandmas here and there to be able to pass it on to their next generation. So I appreciate you coming in here today, and this will be at savingstoriesmeridian.com.
Okay.